Hello, my name's Chris, this is Blue Kraken Gaming, and welcome back to Satisfactory, where if you are enjoying the series, I would ask that you please consider leaving a like, a comment or a subscription. Any or all help the channel grow and they help get it out in front of other people, so thank you very much to those of you that do that. Now, I'm also going to say welcome to anyone that's just jumped in on this episode, purely because I'm going to be trying to share and push this one a little bit more in other places, purely because this is episode 100 of our Let's Play, which is, to my mind, insane. I did not know that I'd get this far. I didn't anticipate it, so it's really cool that the Let's Plays had that much support and sort of people trying to drive through it. Now, the plan for this episode is we're doing a world tour, so we're going to have a look at everything we've put together right from the go. And for a change, I've actually got notes. Yes, this is the first episode I've actually gone through and I've made notes on, because we're basically going to be going through where we started, where we've got to, all the way through all previous 99 episodes, to either catch people up who missed any episodes or want to have a summary, but also for anyone that has joined in and jumped in on this episode, it means you don't have to go back and watch the others. Don't get me wrong, I'd love it if you did, but you don't have to, because this in theory could be a jumping on point, because you'll then know where we are in the Let's Play. So we started here in the forest zone. We're not in the green fields, because I didn't want to do the green fields. A lot of people start there, so we started in the forest. We wound up here where we've got some pure iron nodes, and this was the beginning. And the first 3 episodes, I can't really show you what we did in it, purely because that's all been stripped down and removed. But the first 3 episodes, we were basically getting our basic resources down. We were getting some of the bits to unlock our early stages in the MAM. We got chainsaws, and then we just cleared. So what I can start showing you, if we jump all the way down here, is on this ground floor here. So this ground floor here, and I want to say it was probably this tile here, was the first one we laid down. And what we effectively did was, for episodes 4 through 9, we laid basically this entire ground floor. So we have our 2 iron mines here on a pure node. They are feeding into this bank of smelters, and both of these, by the way, are still tier 1s. At some point I need to rip all this out and upgrade it into tier 2. So we've got 2 tier 1 miners, no overclocking, so that is just the pure 120 coming through, because I haven't touched it since we put it together, because I haven't needed to. We've got all of our smelters going into all of our iron bars, and you can tell how early this is. These are only tier 2s, but we have that running through there. We've got a couple of storage container buffers which then circle back around, and then we've got a row of constructors. These ones are making plates. We've got some more, and this is where we've got some real spaghetti going on. We have got oh, there's the autosave. We have got iron rods going as well, and I cannot remember why I put these over the top. Genuinely can't. Okay, so these ones are going, oh, upstairs. Okay, so they're being split off with a smart splitter, so that was added later and sent upstairs. We'll get to upstairs in a bit, but yes, so we ran the rods and the plates around here. The rods come around here. Some of them are turned into screws, but the way I set it up was like that wasn't a 100% efficient. So basically it would store rods in this container as a buffer, so that it'd build up, and then others would be turned into screws. We then have our screws coming here. These plates are still coming through, and these assemblers started making the bits we were going to need for our space elevator parts. So we've got reinforced plates here in these 2. This single one is making rotors, and at the moment this was making basically all of the rotors in the world. So that's why we've got that bit there, bringing the rods in. Ignore those batteries, they weren't here that early on. Yeah, and then we've got rotors coming over here into another assembler, which went up to our space elevator. So that's kind of episodes 4 through 9. Now, what I'm not going to do is I'm purposely not going to cut, as I need to move places to kind of show you how things are, because I want to give you guys a scale of sort of how stretched things out, how stretched out things are. So I know there are going to be some people here that know the map very well, and equally I know there are some that don't know the map very well. So in episode 10, we ran this huge line here, and what this is this is our Caterium line. So basically, instead of dealing with it on site, I put down a Caterium miner, which again, not upgraded. Don't think I've put any overclocking into it. It is so still tier 1, but it is all the way out here. There you go, you can just see the smelters for it, where it is. And you know what, while I'm here, let's clear this one off, because we're going to need this Caterium node at some point. So we are making use of this single Caterium node down here, which I think is a normal one. Yeah, normal. Again, oh, that one is a tier 2 miner now. I did upgrade that. Okay, so we've got a tier 2 miner, which is giving us 120 Caterium ore a minute. Snaking up here, being split 3 ways into these 3 smelters, which are all then merging onto this line that runs it all the way back to base. So this is the sole source of Caterium we are making use of at the moment. We've found a few more since, but we are not exploiting any of them. So this is it. And as you can see, it was a long old run back, but we didn't have access to any other form of method of transportation when we did this. It was all belts. So we used belts at the time because that's what we had. And that fed all the way around onto this cliff, dropped down here, and into here where we made use of these 3, and these 3 have been chugging away since day dot, making all of our quick wire. And that's it. That's all the quick wire we've ever had in the world. Episode 11, we expanded our copper infrastructure. So we had our little temporary copper set up here, ran down, and again we've just got a set of smelters back there which are feeding into all of these constructors here, which are doing a mix of wire and sheets. Yeah, we didn't do sheets originally, it was just wire way back then, but we've now got them doing a mix of sheets and wire. Some of the wire comes through, and it comes through here to be turned into cable. That's backed up at the moment because we don't have an outlet for that cable. Don't worry about this, but over here, that was some copper that I stole off for Fixmas, which we will get to at some point. So that covers off. Whoop, that covers off the copper, and that is basically this first floor. There's a little bit more over the back there behind those batteries, which we're going to come back to because I'm trying to keep things how we did them in order. Resource sinks all over the place. So the next thing we actually did, and this is I'm only coming up here because it's going to be the best way to get over there. We started sorting out some coal. So our nearest coal nodes were all the way over here, and I've got hypertubes to get here now. But we ran all the way over here, and again I can't show you exactly what I did because I've redone it since. So over here is the coal we're using, and we've got 4 coal nodes that we are exploiting over here, and it's a bit of a mess at the moment, so I'm just gonna cover this off. So we've now got these as tier 2, so we've got 2 nodes at the back there, we've got 1 here and then 1 there. So those are the 4 nodes we're exploiting, and they are all the coal nodes around here. So what we originally did was, this was our original early coal power plant, because I wanted to automate power as soon as humanly possible, because automating power in this game is a big thing. So what is that? Oh, hello, the bean. What are you up to? Yeah, so we automated power. Now, skipping ahead, we did actually redo this power plant a couple of times. So if you want to find this out, this was redone in episodes 19 to 23, was when we did this first floor, and episode 27 was when we did the upstairs. So effectively what we've got here is we've got some of the coal feeding in from one of the nodes. You can sort of follow the trail going along there, and that is coming in here. Whoop. And it's being split. So that one node is feeding 1, 2, 3, 4 on this side, 4 on this side, so that's feeding the 8. And then we've got another node, the one that's just down there. So I've got a door here as well. So that node is feeding in here, and that is doing these 8 on this side, and they're slightly offset, so you can tell where one ends and the next one begins. Underneath, we've got a load of water extractors that are overclocked at the moment to get all of this going. But yeah, so we've got a whole floor here of just power plants, and then we came back, like I said, in episode 27. Yeah, that's what I've got labelled down as power plant second floor, where we did basically exactly the same, but we did it upstairs. And with here, this is where I started to explore with some of my architectural bits. So we've actually got the smokestacks coming out through the roof, so I just soft clipped them through there. These ones are flipped, so the coal is actually, well, the coal and water are on the outside now instead of on the inside, with the two of them facing each other. So instead of one side feeding the first 4 in each sort of bank, so you'd have 4 and then 4, these time they're just going 8 and 8. So it's a full manifold system to just feed it all the way through. And so yeah, this sustained us on power for quite a long time, because I mean, that's what, 32 coal generators. But I also actually quite like this one as a view on this stairwell down, because you can see it all. We had horrible problems with that pipe there, because what I'd actually done, I'd done a bit of rearranging and mucking around with the pipes, and at one point I had the pipe there and the floor hole, and they were visually touching, but they weren't actually connected, and so I had no idea why I was getting no water upstairs. But the water's being fed up in each corner, just to make sure that we've got enough water going all the way through. But yeah, that's our coal power plant setup, and like I say, that kept us going for quite a while. Now, jumping all the way back, because like I say, we will revisit there, but I'm trying to do things in the order we constructed them. So when we get back to the main base, what we then did was we did that expansion on the iron. Here we go, another autosave. Yeah, man. Helly. Whoop. Okay. No. Oh, how many times do you guys get that when you try and run away from the bit and you get caught in it? Right, so we also then just did this expansion of iron. We tapped these 2 nodes here and ran it along. Again, similar setup. We've got a load of smelters feeding into a pair of boxes. These guys are making iron plates. These guys on the end, at this point we had the alternate recipe for cast screws. So these guys were just making straight screws because we wanted some screws. So I had screws, rods and plates being made out of this. But again, we were only using the bottom line there. Oh, I had no idea that had clipped so badly. The top line was stolen for Fixmas, and I had no idea it clipped through that constructor because I built it from all the way over there. But yeah, that was... Where were we? Iron expansion. So that was episode 15. Just to get that ready so we had some stuff. After that, we worked on our bus, because the plan was this was going to be a kind of factory where we were going to build a lot of things together. So in episodes 16 to 18, we put together this floor here. where we laid out the foundations. It wasn't quite this tall back then, but effectively we ran this bus and it goes all the way around. So the idea is, you can see we've got the iron plates on the bottom level, and effectively they run all the way around so that anywhere in our factory we could just pull a splitter off, and there you can see examples of it on the other side here. You could just pull a splitter off, get the resources down, so it doesn't matter where you're building them, you can send them up to the bus, they go round, and then you pull them off at the point that you need them. That was the plan with it. But ideas evolved, and I realised basically this bus was going to be so huge to, in theory, like, you can already see how tall it is, and this does not have every resource in the game. But to try and do this with every resource, yeah, that would have been mad, and I decided against it in the long run. But it's still here, it's still functioning, it's still working on some of the resources, and as you can see, we are using it for bits. Now, after that, after we've dealt with the bus, we moved on to getting quartz set up. So we currently do have quartz set up, and it gets bussed back here with a truck that is literally running it back. But we're going to go this way, and you know what, I'm already changing plans because I'm coming over this way. Yeah, I'm just rechecking my notes here. Yeah, so actually we can do this together because the bit between these two was going and looking at the power plant, which we've already just gone and done. So we're all the way down here with the quartz nodes that we picked. There's the truck that's bringing the quartz back. You can see it going along there. And what we did here, as we pick up some rapid speed coming downhill, is, and don't worry about this factory, we're going to cover that in a second. So out here, this is our quartz setup, and this is the only quartz setup we've ever had. Again, this needs redoing because all the way down here we have, oh, bump, I'm sure these are still tier 1 quartz nodes, tier 1 miners. They are on a pure quartz node, and so 2 pure quartz nodes, 2 tier 1 miners. They are currently maxed out because we've got our tier 2 belt, so that's doing our 120, and then these are 100% efficient. He says, why are you, what? When did you get caught like that? How long have you been running? You've been on 60% for a while. Blimey, okay. I thought I did the maths ages ago that we wouldn't have that, but apparently I was wrong. Okay, fine. But what we're doing here is we're making a load of quartz crystals and silica, and they all just run all the way along here into this truck station, and then that truck comes and picks it up and takes it all the way back to base. So we did have to build a few ramps to get it up here, which was fun, but that's what we're doing. Now, moving on to this bit, which has never had a roof, and I probably should get round to fixing that. This is our main steel and motor factory. So this was where we really started trying to ramp up what we were doing with steel, because we dealt with it a little bit back at the other base where we were running some coal, and I should probably actually show, well, I will show that off when we get back. But this was our main steel bit. So we are using a coal node from over here. I'm going to try and avoid going all the way down to it because it will be a pain. There's some limestone there we've not touched. And you can see the line. Basically it's over there. If I ping it, oh, it's over there. So it's basically, it's in that direction, though, 200 meters away. So that was the coal node we tapped, and you can see the coal line running all the way along, and it runs up here and feeds into our steel factory. So in here we've got iron coming in, which are from the pure nodes below. If I just jump out at the moment, there we go. We're using 2 of the pure nodes. There is another one there I can use, and those ones that one over there is being used for a different thing, but we're using these 2 ones for our steel to get started. There's the door. There it is. Ah, come on, through the door. So, we've got our smelters, and at this point we had the... Oh, I've forgotten what it's called. There you go, the solid steel ingot. So what we're actually doing is we're smelting all of the iron before we turn it into steel to maximise that efficiency there. So we smelt all these iron bars, then we bring the coal in, and we smelt it into 60 steel ingots. Okay, and we've got a storage container with a buffer there, which is quite nice, which feeds upstairs. And originally, this was all on a single bus, but the lines we had at the time weren't big enough to handle it. And then I had the realisation that they're going into two different sets of constructors upstairs that we'll get to at the moment, in a minute. So, if they're going into two different sets, why don't I just split it with the amounts that I need? Which is why those four go in that direction, and these two go in this direction. Because they're actually working on slightly different things. So if we head upstairs, here we have the two are feeding these four constructors here that are going ham on making steel pipes. And that's where you can see it's cut here because they're feeding you from the other side. And these ones are coming in on this direction to make steel beams. Okay, so that's what we've got there. We have got a setup with a couple of smart splitters to sink anything that doesn't get used, but that doesn't happen anymore. Everything gets used. We actually need to increase our steel pipe production because at the moment these are all the steel pipes we make in the world. And we need more of them because my storages are not full. And I like full storages. Screws on the other... not screws. The steel beams on the other hand we are making use of. But after that they come up here onto this nice confusing mix of a floor where we take the steel pipes and the wire that we'll go have a look at that in a moment and we make the stators. So we're producing stators here. The steel beams however come into this side with concrete from... Did I not put that... I haven't put that wall back. Okay. There we go. With concrete from that building down there, which again we'll go have a look at because that is our little on-site concrete factory, to make us our encased industrial beams. And again, these are making all of the encased industrial beams we've got in the world. So at some point we're probably going to want to up this as well. Why are you idle? You're not getting enough steel beams, are you? Yeah, not enough steel beams. Okay, but either way, that makes all of them. And then they come upstairs, where we have our top floor with no roof, and we have these assemblers here that are making our motors. And I can hear you going, Chris, but where are the rotors coming from? Well, I'll address that in a moment because we have got another hidden floor that concentrates on making just the rotors. But we use the stators and these rotors to make all of our motors. And what we've got is we've got these motors here. We've got an overflow there to feed them into an awesome sink. And we've also got all of these, anything that gets overflowed or created as spare resources. At the moment they're all going in this direction up here, but they used to come over here to this truck station. I haven't taken that truck station down, but that's why we've got all of this infrastructure up here. They now go to a train station up there, what we'll get to in a minute. The other thing we make here with the stators is, over here, we use the stators and some cable to make our automated wiring. So this makes all of the automated wiring we've got in the world as one of our space elevator parts, but at the moment that goes back to our main base again via the train. Now, I mentioned there was the level where we are making rotors, which is down here. Here is our sub-level, where again we've just... That was from that single iron node. We run it all in here. These guys are making tons of screws. Again, you can see we've got all of it here. That one is split to account for the belt speed because we didn't have anything better than tier 3 belts when we put this together. So what it does is this machine here splits No, not that one. This machine here splits its resources in either direction to basically join onto the two either side. So that's making 200. Yeah, so we have 250 screws on each line. Because a tier 3 belt can't handle... Well, handles 270. Yeah, so that was how we did it. Because I couldn't have 300 on one belt. They all then come over here. We've got these being pressed into rods. And rods and screws make rotors. Because that was the recipe we were using. So, yeah. That's how all this works on a sub-level. Now, we also need to look at the copper and the concrete. So let's look at the concrete first. So the concrete is over here. And this is a very, very simple setup. There's nothing fancy around this. It's been improved slightly since we put it together. In that, the miner is now tier 2 and it is overclocked slightly just to give us what we need. But it basically spits out the limestone, makes concrete and ships it up there. Nothing too complicated with this. This is an orange box. This is a fancy single extractor. Where we've got something more interesting going on is over here, where we have what we're doing with all the copper. And I need to fix this at some point, so it's not a floating box. But we've got these two pure copper nodes, and can't even remember what level extractor we've got on those. They are minor Mark IIs. Okay. And then in here, whoa. I did set up a hypertube to get from one building to the other. So in here, we've got all of our copper coming in. It splits here to basically deal with the amount of lines we've got. We smelt all of this copper. All of the copper is then from one bank fed off in this direction to make tons and tons of wire. So you can see that's all being made. And it goes all the way around there. And here we've got it going into boxes, and we've got a pair of smart splitters to try and overflow it. Which, to be fair, we've actually got better belts now. There we go. That should hopefully stop that getting backed up quite as much. Right. So that was this floor. We did then send that bit out, and this is where that wire is coming to go over to the other factory. So if I drop down, you can see we've got a bridge that goes over to that floor, and you can see the copper wire going along it. So that's how we did that. Upstairs is where we do cable. So we bring the copper up, we turn chunks of it, or basically we turn it into wire, and then that wire is fed. And again, from belt limitations, this comes in this side, can only do those 4, and then it does the same from the other side. And then we have our cable that feeds in there, and that's kind of it. This does get backed up because I haven't put an overflow sink in for it, but it should. Ideally it should have an overflow sink. And at this point I was falling in love with glass ceilings, so we have glass ceilings basically almost everywhere. But yeah, that was what we did there. Right, okay. So that was copper and steel. Then we get to the new power plant. Okay, so that was kind of where we stopped on update 6, because at this point everything was being done on update 6. We then moved into update 7. And we were pushing the limits of our power consumption at this point. So I decided that we needed to have another coal power plant. I could have probably overclocked the coal resources that we had back at the original one. But the problem I was having with that is that I was actually running out of water. I was physically running out of space to put the water extractors. So we opted to go and make another power plant. So what I'm going to need to do is I'm going to need to get back to the main base. I've just noticed I don't like all of these amber lines I've got suggesting trains aren't moving. We've been having real problems with trains recently. and I don't like it. I need to find out what's going on with it. Right, so let's head up here. Back to where we began the episode. That was where we began it, in that glass box there. Right, but we have our train station. You're all stopped. Why are we all stopped? Why are we all stopped? Like, genuinely, why? It's like the entire train network's come to a complete stop. Why? Okay, so no one's actually in here. We're going to come back to this in another point soon. But it looks like no one's actually in the train station. Last time it did this, I did that and that fixed it. Okay. Alright, that seems to have unstuck everything, so... Sure. Right, okay. Don't get that, but whatever. Okay, so we need a train. Okay, and then we want to head to, and I'm going to use the automated system, we want new power import. So originally, where we're about to head to now, we were running all of the coal, or we weren't running all of the coal. I put this together, and we then ran into a situation where I'd actually built too many coal power plants, and we didn't have enough on-site coal to run all of the power plants that I'd actually put into this location we're about to go to. So what I had to do was I needed to get more coal over there, and I was producing an excess of coal back at the original power plant, so I needed to get it over. So what I actually did was, and you might be able to just see it under our train line here, I built a skyway. It's the only way to describe it. How did you have priority coming out? That feels unfair. Yeah, I built a skyway. That was basically meant to be a motorway where we would be able to truck resources in all directions to, yeah, get them where they needed to go. Right, come on, we got green light. Let's get going. So there you go. You can just see the skyway down there. So that was an awful lot of concrete, and I will be completely honest, there aren't any episodes to go over that because I built pretty much all of that skyway off camera. So yeah, but the real shame is it's basically unused now because I've replaced everything that was using it with what's going on in the train line, because I now have trains, so I use the trains instead. So, but you can see it was running all the way there. It used to pick stuff up from the steel factory, because you can see I built, once the autosave finishes, that kind of beautiful, to my mind, I know it's a bit blocky, junction exit, so that there were no crossovers. Like, everything stayed on the correct side of the road, and it didn't cross over. It was lovely, it was beautiful. And down there you can see the new power plant that we built, or the new coal power plant that we built, and you can see the end of the road where it kind of just dropped down, but I've had to remove the ends of that road to fit the train. And we did do an update on this bit, and this was great fun, where I had basically my first attempt trying to build a train corkscrew. And for those of you that were there during this episode, I apologise if you feel seasick at the moment, the joy of this was I built this before I had access to the hover pack, so it was a real challenge trying to make sure I didn't fall to my death while trying to put that together. So it's a bit interesting. But here we are at our second coal power plant, and this was the first thing we built in update 7. So just hop out of that, take you out the way. There we go. Okay, so what we've got here is we've got the three I think it was. No, 4 coal nodes. So we've got 2 there and 2 there. And I fed them all in because this is where I wanted it to be that water. That spaghetti is... I can only apologise about this pipework. This pipework begun to get to me because if you look at it, if you look at how it starts, it's all beautiful and neat. Like that is a wonderful, beautiful piece of pipework, if I do say so myself. And I've got the same on the other side. And then it just became this, where as I was building it, I just went, I just need to get it in now. I just need to get it in. But either way, at the other end, I think I built the entrance. Yeah, I did. What we have in here is all a whole new set of coal generators. But this, like I said, this was the first one we had with update 7, so I was experimenting with the ceiling mounts. So you can see when I get access to it, why is there concrete there? What? Why were there 2 random pieces of concrete there? Oh my word, I hope they didn't turn any of these off. No, they all look like they're on. Oh wow, okay, that's odd. But yeah, this is where I was playing with ceiling belts. So you can see we've got the ceiling belts coming in. We've got the water coming in from below. And these water extractors are not overclocked, but you can see I've got them going in banks of 4 because we only had access to the tier 1 pipes at this point. And yeah, it kind of does this all the way along. And it's interspaced with some of them having these solid foundations so that I could hang stuff off of, and then I'd have patches of glass to try and give us a bit of looking through. But this I had great fun with. This, yeah, this was where I was like falling in love with ceiling mounts. But it's all on one floor, and it's just, yeah, a nice big open space. It doesn't go tall like the other one, but it's technically got a whole extra bank of generators, so it produces a bit more power. But like I said, we've got to bring coal over from the other one. But yeah, that was where are we? Second. Where am I? Looking at my notes now. Oh yeah, update 7 new pounds. So that was episodes 36 through 39. But underneath you can see it just becomes spaghetti just to get it to going. And I at some point I might come back and redo it because it catches my eye whenever I go past on the train and I don't like it. But it is what it is. Right, where are we going to go next? Let's have a look at our oil plant. So this is where we're going to start making use of the trains a bit more. No, you're facing the wrong way. Right, so yeah, mum. Then after that we started having a look at oil. So well, we need to get moving because that train is coming and there is no signals down here for that. Oh, am I about to derail this? Ooh, yes, damn. Oh, I was worried. That was so upsetting, just nicking the edge there like that. Right, turn that back on. Right, and then turn that back on so we can get just sneak past. Excellent. And we'll be faster up there because that's got to unload yet, and also we aren't pulling any freight, so we should be faster. There we go. Okay. So yeah, we're now off to oil, what I called Oil Exports 1. So this was where we then started having a look at oil, and we needed to get plastic, and basically I never really played with oil because when we got to the oil, we were at a point where I'd not got that far in the game ever before. So this is, I think I was talking to someone the other day about it, this is like my 4th I'm going to say playthrough. This is my 4th world that I've created and actually had something to go on. But I'd never got this far before, so oil was all new to me. I'd got to steel before, I'd got to copper, well, everyone gets to copper, but basically I'd got to coal, and I'd got everything done up to the point that we're about to enter into. And so when we got to oil, it was a whole new world, and I had no idea what was going on or quite how complicated it was going to get. So that's where we're heading next. And like I say, I'm not going to cut this out. I kind of want to let you guys feel how we've got everything set up and basically the world as it is. We have done, at this point in the playthrough, if you sort of go back and watch the playlist, we've done a couple of hard drive hunts, or we've certainly done at least one. I've done 2 live streams that were about this, where we've gone and just done hard drive hunts. We haven't actually done any construction in those. But if you're watching this and you're watching it on time, we have got what I'm calling the birthday live stream coming up, because the channel itself is going to be a year old on the 12th of April. And I put a poll out, and currently most people seem to want us to do a Satisfactory live stream where we are going to be just decorating a lot of the factories and various buildings around the world that I don't have quite complete yet. So these are the oil nodes, or I say these are the oil nodes. This is the oil that we chose to make use of. And again, you can see the skyway comes down here, because originally it was all being dealt with by truck. But again, we now have a train system, so we're making use of it via train. We have 2 train stations here purely because there was a small expansion I did to it after the original. So this, hang on, why has my build menu gone funny?
I strongly advise you to harvest this specimen.
Hang on, right, give me a second. Right, okay, I am sorry about that. I don't know what happened. I had to quit the game and come back in to let me take that apart, because I can't leave that train in place, because otherwise it'll freeze the network again. Right, however, this was the oil factory that we built. There was a truck stop there, but I've taken it away to replace with the trains, which are now going up here. So effectively we have 1 oil node there, and this entire factory is built off that single node. We have got another one here that we haven't used, and we have also got another one under here because I didn't pay attention to where it was when I built the factory. So there's another one here that I completely can't access, but I only found that out later on. So everything is coming off of this single oil extractor here, not even overclocked. So like I said, this was where I was experimenting, and I'd never done it before, so I didn't really know what I was up to. So in here we have our oil comes in. I was trying to colour, so these ones are making plastic, these ones are making rubber, so it was a 4 and 4 because that worked out quite nicely, nice and straightforward. And then all of the heavy oil residue I get out of making that feeds in here, and that originally went into just these 2 refineries here that turn the heavy oil residue into fuel, and that fuel, random piece of coal on the petroleum coke, fine. That fuel is then using some of the plastic that we make over here. It basically runs along the ceiling because, ceiling mounts. And we make some containers, and we use that to package the fuel, which we will sink spare fuel, but then the rest of it does actually get sent back to the main base, so we can do this, basically use that fuel for any trucks we've got around the world. And at the moment this is making all of the fuel we've got to supply the very few trucks we have left. So this is the only place we make packaged fuel. But the extra little expansion I did on there is, you can see we've got coming down, we've got some black powder that we're making elsewhere, and we use a little bit of the heavy oil residue just to make some smokeless black powder so we can make some guns. But again, I'm limiting how much residue we've got feeding through there. It's not much, it's just a trickle, just to get a little bit going. So you can see it kind of ticking through. So that needs 10 a minute, and what have I actually set that to? 10 a minute. So it should... the valves are weird. They always seem to do slightly less than what they actually are meant to do. So this was where we experimented with oil. And that was episodes 41 through 45. But yeah, it's just been kind of plodding along here in the background on its own. Now, after that, let's try and hope the power doesn't give out on me. Yep, cool. Right, now we want to head back to the main facility. Right, and we want... Steel Imports is the one I tend to go to. And off we go. So again, you can see all of this was originally done via trucks and the motorway that I was putting together, which is a 2x2, or sorry, 2 foundation wide motorway. We got a little bit lazy with it when I was bringing this up because I don't have any of the fancy on and off ramps. This just cuts across, which was fine for the level of things we were working with. So you can see there's one truck still working on that motorway. Yeah, it was fine for what we were working with, but it doesn't work so much anymore, which is why we now have the train system. Right, we can hop out here. We don't need to wait for that train jam to sort itself out. Okay. So, what we did next was Fixmas. So I'm not going to spend too long on this because it's a seasonal event. It might come back next year. But, oh, apparently you've not had the power again to recharge the slow fall. But we have got a Fixmas factory up there that I'm going to say very dodgily looks like a present. I couldn't get the bow to work right. This was also where all of the old plastic and rubber used to feed in. So this was the incoming truck stop. But yes, the iron and copper that we stole, that I referenced earlier, used to come all the way over here because this was... Ooh, autosave. Yeah, this was where we built our Fixmas factory to get all of the Christmas items built. And it's still set up. I haven't taken it apart. But in here, we've got a little man station. But we had it set up where we have our forest at the back, which is making our... was making our presents to feed the rest of the factory. And that's why it's shut down, because they don't make presents when it's not Fixmas. But effectively, it ran all the way along here. These were making all the base bits like candy canes. And what are you making? You're still making candy canes. You're making tree branches. So they made all of the early ones. These were then smelted into ornaments, and they were overclocked, and they fed upstairs. So we're actually out of red ornaments. There's only a 2-floor factory, so this is going to be very quick. And then we came upstairs, and we got all of our ornaments feeding through, where we're taking our red and our blue ones, and we're making our gold and silver ornaments, which go into the baubles. And then they all come over this way to make, with the branches, the wreaths and the Fixmas decorations. And then they all go along here to make the stars, which were the final bit. And then I kind of put all the windows out so we could continue to look at our, nice forest. And you can see we've got the red bits because I tried to make it look a bit like a present from the outside. So we've got the red bands that are meant to be the, like the red bow wrapping. I also changed the walls from, instead of being orange, they're brown. And then, yeah, like I say, I tried to do a bow on top with concrete foundations. Didn't work so well. Not so good at them. But yeah, that was 44 to 51 with the Fixmas work. It overlapped slightly with the oil plant because I had to wait for certain bits and days to go along. After that, we worked on unlocking trains, and we did unlock trains, and we started playing with trains. And so where we've got our big train station here that you can see at the moment, that's always where our starting train station was. Understandably, it's been redone a little bit since then, but that was always where it was, kind of up above the original factory, because a lot of what's up here hasn't been touched in a while. So we got our trains, and I wanted to start playing with them, and I went, okay, I want to play with trains, I want to have a look at them, But also, I do want to start getting ready for upping the number of screws we're making. So over the next couple of episodes, and you can see how early a thing it is, because it's very, very near the top of our timetable. We worked on getting the train line set up to where I wanted to try and make a much larger steel production facility compared to what we had where we're making the motors, because a lot of what was being made there was being used to produce the motors. We didn't have anywhere that was dedicated to making, and this was the intent of this one, steel beams, because what I came across as part of doing this, the alternate recipe for steel screws, and screws are always a nightmare because you always need so many of them, but how many screws you get out of the steel screw recipe, I went, okay, what I'm going to do is I want to make a factory dedicated to making steel beams so that I can then either make a metric ton of screws and never have to worry about it, or, and this is how we've actually gone forward with it in the playthrough and what we're doing, we move the steel screws to where, or we move the steel beams to where we need the screws, and then on site we turn those beams into screws to actually just give us a huge amount. So what we did was we built this huge train line, and you can see we're actually passing another factory. That's one that we're going to be possibly working on if we get time in the anniversary stream, because that is very bare bones, and you can see it's all naked, and yeah, it's got no walls or windows or anything yet. That is just a set of floating platforms, but that's not the one we're going to. We're going to come back to that later. What we're actually looking at is the one you can see over there. That is where we started, or where we built our steel beam facility, and it's the one then in my mind I actually kind of want to expand a bit and make steel pipes with as well. But what this facility does, or where it is for those of you that have played in the desert and know where the desert is, it's actually over the crater that they put in, I want to say it was in update 5, where they just put a massive crater in the middle of, I say in the middle, it's right at the edge, but they put a massive crater at the edge. Weird smoke effect just happened there. So that's where we're going, but of course I wasn't clear on angled train stations at that point, which is why it right angles at this point to get over to it, and it's also got no junction. This is just the end of the line, so the train comes here and turns around. So yeah, this is the end of the line. There's nothing beyond this. So yeah, it does just turn around here. Okay, so we will then hop off. Hope that's not failed on me again. Yep. Right, and then we will jump down and have a look. Now, one of the pieces of feedback or pieces of advice I got after I built this one is, you can see I've got the lifts just hopping off each other like that. And I was told that had I put a bit at the bottom and I'd put a couple of floor holes, it would actually go infinite height, instead of having to go lift to lift like I've got. But, you know, we've got what we've got. So what we have here is we've got a couple of iron nodes, and we've got another one from all the way over there, and I'm not going to run over to it because it's just an iron node exporting and running it back. Going into this box here that I called a smelt box, and it is actually a blueprint. So if I go into smelt boxes, there we go, there's our iron smelt box, and that's what this is. So what it is, if I take a wall down, because it is completely sealed inside, it's got 2 floors that basically look like this. Yeah, so that's what, 20 smelters, all just working away, getting all of the ore, smelting it all, exporting it all out. So we had tier 4s at this point, so that's as fast as we're going. But yeah, that was our first blueprint we threw down just to see what it looked like, and it worked brilliantly. And then we just hang the outputs here, so we've then got a load of iron bars coming out, because again we use the same recipe we did in the other place, where we will come around here and you can see we're bringing in coal. Let's actually just hop up a little bit so you can see it. Bringing in coal from those two miners over there. So we have got an untapped coal node we're not using yet, but we didn't need it because I worked out the ratios. And in here, this is where again I was starting to work with walkways. So we've got some walkways we can have a look at. So we've got those foundries there, and these are making steel beams straight away because it's actually a 1-to-1 ratio. So if I come down here, you can see they're outputting 60 a minute, and this is inputting 60 a minute. So it was a 1-to-1. So there's no splitting or anything like that. It just goes 1-to-1. And then we have the same deal upstairs. It just manifolds upstairs, and then goes 1-to-1 and feeds it all out the back. So yeah, this was... I was trying a little bit different architecturally because I'm all steel here instead of concrete, which I have been before. Apart from this bit here that looks like it's asphalt. Okay, fine. But yeah, it was where, yeah, we just basically built a hotbox in the desert that makes steel beams. And they run them all the way back, and these are, like I say, making most of the these are most of the steel beams that are produced, and these are the ones that we're basically shipping anywhere and turning into screws if we need to. Now I do need to, like I say, expand this, but at the moment it is sufficing. But I do want to make the the steel pipes with it as well. Right, okay. Now we've got a long climb up here because we have a ridiculous ladder. But we did all of that in basically setting up the railway and getting the factory set up from episodes 52 to 59. So it was a reasonable length. Now the next one we're going to have a look at is, I'm going to say at the moment it's my favourite build from the entire playthrough. It is the one that I think looks best. Right, so we want to edit our timetable. We want... when the autosave finishes, the fuel station export. So where we're going to go now was, after I'd built all of this, again I went, power. Power is becoming another problem, but I don't want to do another massive coal generator because at this point we've got some of the alternate recipes. Like I say, we've been picking them up on hard drive hunts, and we did a couple of explorations as well. But I'd got turbo fuel at this point. I'd picked up a couple of hard drives and I'd kept them spare, so I had the recipes for compacted coal and turbo fuel. So where we're heading now is the first turbo fuel plant that I've made. So it was the first time I played with fuel generators. We realised I'd done goofed at the previous oil facility because I was going to go there and expand it out. And then I found the oil node underneath the factory and went, well, I can't use that. So yeah, like I say, we realised I'd done goofed, and we basically went and found where's the next set of nearest oil nodes, and it happened to be this set here, where we're heading back to. But I will admit, I don't think they're the best set of oil nodes, because I think it was like too normal and too impure. And it's also really awkward because for some of the setup I needed some water, and there's not a lot of water around. But it is actually this factory down here. Like I say, it's my favourite one that I've built at the moment. I think from the front it just looks really quite awesome. It's interesting, it's not a box. At this point I am still needing to work, and even now I'm still needing to work on the internals of a factory. So even if I can make a factory that's not a box, I can't. I'm still struggling to make it look good inside and not just sort of very bare bones and just an empty shell. So that's something I'm working on. But look, you can see we've got rubber and plastic coming through up here. Is it rubber? No, it's fabric and plastic. So this is where we're making our fabric, because I did the research to get us basically synthetic fibres or synthetic fabrics. So we will come over here and we're going to launch ourselves off and head down. There we go. And here you can see I did make use of that infinite height thing, where it's going floor hole to floor hole. But coming down here, Ellie whoop. So back at the first coal power plant, and we'll go and have a look at that in a bit, we have got a little area that's making compacted coal. And you can see from the lines, they are coming in via truck to a little garage down here, where we've got entrance and exits, and it literally drives in. The bean is still in here, drops off the compacted coal, which you can see, that's all still in here, and then it goes off to collect some more. Speaking of which, here is said truck. But yeah, I really like how that little garage looks, and just having it underneath. But the main entrance is up here. I did need concrete while I was building it, so I just tapped a node and just made some concrete. But this is kind of the front door. So actually, let's go and have a look before we get on with that. So the oil nodes we've got 3 outside and 1 inside. And we've got, yeah, impure. Can't even see what you guys are on. You're doing 120 and you're doing 120. What's this one doing? 60, yeah. So those are the 2 normal nodes. That's an impure node. So you can see I've just got them hooked up. So what the plan was I'd hook the 2 normal nodes together and the 2 impure nodes together to have a look. So the other impure node is in here. There we go. Yeah, there's our 60. So then I've got 2 pipes basically coming through. So this is where they get to. So I've then got a pipe of 120 and a pipe of 240. Yeah, where I was planning on feeding them up, which is what we do. So they go straight upstairs and they come up here. And this is where we've got a ton of refineries that are taking all of that oil, and this time we're just making it straight into fuel. And they output the polymer resin, which goes off in that direction, which I'll show how that's dealt with in a moment. And we've got our fuel buffer here, which that's sloshing backwards and forwards, which is fine because I haven't used many valves on here. And then the fuel comes out here into these refineries, where we're turning it straight into turbo fuel by making use of the compacted coal. So that's kind of straightforward, and then that turbo fuel just drops into this container here, this fluid buffer, and then just drops straight downstairs. So this entire floor is just refineries and a door out, because, you know, I just made a nice glass roof to... Oh, yeah, we'll have a look at that in a minute. Yeah, fuel. Yeah, so we just made a nice glass roof. But what I did also do, because of feeding things up and down, we've got a slight logistics like false wall, and I put a glass bit there so we could see it. We've got a door in case we ever need to go into it. But yeah, just a little glass false wall. That resin is completely not necessary anymore, so we can scrub that. It doesn't. I'm not going to worry about that now. So yeah, still you can see I'm playing with the glass ceilings. And then what we were doing with that polymer resin is it actually comes back downstairs, and this is where we had to tap a water source, which is a bit of a way away. But that polymer resin comes downstairs into these 4 refiners here with the water, and we make some residual plastic and then some residual fibre. Not fibre, fabric. So we have access to fabric infinitely. We don't need to go and hunt mycelia and the mushrooms for our gas filters and the like. They then feed into a couple of storage containers and overflow into an awesome sink. And then this is a field of fuel generators. It's the only way to describe it. So you can see all the turbo fuel comes down there, and then it just runs through all of these. And this produced... Oh, I did put a fluid buffer there, didn't I? Yeah. This produced basically so much power for a long time. We are absolutely fine, as you can see on our capacity. So yeah, that's just kept us going for a very, very long time. All of this turbo fuel, and like I say, this is what I'm most pleased with. Yeah, very happy with this. It was quite a moment for me when I finished laying them all down, and I just kind of stood back and looked, and I went, "That's a lot of fuel generators." And all I'm going to say on foreshadowing there, for anyone that's sort of new and jumping on this episode, is that's a lot of fuel generators, or so I thought. Yeah. We have a few more later on. Right, okay, so that was all done in episodes 61 through 65. Next, we are going to be heading actually back home, because the next thing we did was to work on and you can see the water line going off all the way over there to the right, just behind the bar at the moment. That's where I had to pinch some water, because yeah, I couldn't find that for some reason. Couldn't find it. Right, we're actually going to head back to what I'm calling the Nexus, which is like our central train station at the moment. And that is what we did. So this is where we changed it from the single station we had, because it was like, actually, we're now getting into having multiple trains. Right, edit the timetable, go to steel imports, save, go. So you can see we've then got our motor factory, the steel production, steel imports, oil imports, and this is where we start working on all of expanding our rail infrastructure, really, and getting it going. So there we go. You should be able to start moving now, because I've moved into a different sector. Yep, that's on the move. So yeah, like I said, this rail network, or rail bridge, not bridge, this train station kind of collection is what I'm calling the Nexus. And when we first put it together, it didn't have the walls, it didn't have the nice walkway through to our like little sort of control room area. But this is the Nexus, and what it effectively does is it... Right, let's just take this out so we don't slow the steel stuff. Come on. I wish you could take the trains down before they stop moving. So what it effectively does is it kind of puts everyone through on a loop. So what it does is everyone comes along, there's a single spine, everyone peels off into their respective train stations. So we've got steel, oil, or oil products. What are you? Oh, that's what I'm calling the boombox. So that's doing black powder and the like. That one's doing iron. That one's doing copper. And that one's doing aluminium. So we've actually still got a bit of expansion to do on here, because we don't have the Caterium or quartz ones. But they all follow that same pattern. I've now got a walkway going between them, which needs to be extended out for the last few stations. But yeah, that's kind of all the Nexus is. It's just a central station where everything that we're producing can be dropped off. And the reason we do that is, if I come up here, go across our lovely bridge, which I actually really quite like, and down here it all feeds into our storage area. So we've got, you can see, an absolute mess of not cables, but belts here. But the point of this is that everything comes in, and then you can see I've got it all labelled. So, oh, I need reinforced beams. There they are. There's the steel beams. And I can run along and go, right, what are the items I need if I need to pick anything up? So I can just come and grab them. And it's all the way down here. And it just goes all the way. Some of these are blank because I've got 5 5-car trains, and not everything's using 5 cars at the moment. But yeah, it comes all the way down here. I still need to bring the aluminium stuff down, but it's here, so I've got access to it. And what it also allows me to do is export these. So you can see that I'm doing that with these steel beams. They actually get exported and shipped off elsewhere. And you can see I'm hanging a load of stuff underneath over there to go to our output train stations, which is like the last thing we've done, so we're going to be coming back to that. But that's the idea, so that I've got everything feeding in here. It's all to hand for me, and I can then ship it out and send it off somewhere if I need to. So yeah, that was the plan for that. Then, after we did all of that, and we did this skybox, which is our nice new central hub facility, and we've moved the hub up here, we've left a gap for the little ship to fly out. I kind of wanted this to be like a central overlook facility where I can basically, yeah, have it as a command centre almost. I've got this glass wall back here so we can watch the trains go past, and then, like I say, this nice bridge so we can go over the trains, and you can watch them go around. I have to say, I do quite like how I've got this bit set up. Right, but after we did that, we moved on to another new factory where I was working on the ethos of let's try and maximise things, because at this point I was watching Kibitz a bit more. So we're going to go to the damn tree station, which for anyone watching at this point, that becomes very evident as to why it got called that. And what we did was we went, okay, so at the moment all of our iron's been produced from down there. We don't have anywhere dedicated to making large amounts of iron. So that was what we needed to start working on. So having a look on the map and pinging things, I found a set of 3 pure iron nodes. And this is where I went, right, time to start maximising things and really going to town. So what we did was we made that station, or that factory there, which, and this is where I was referencing, the outside I think is pretty good. I think it's pretty done. The inside is needing some work, but this is focusing on making all of the items that we can make out of our basic iron production. So when we come to a stop here, there we go. Right, come on, come to a stop. Right, okay, so we tapped, where is it? There's a pure iron node there, and there's 2 at the back of the factory as well. I have to admit, don't like that, but there's not really a lot I can do with it. So this is where I've been trying to work on the inside, but yeah, maybe need a bit more help with it. But we have all of the iron feeding in here, and this is set up with the right number of smelters to cope with a tier 3 extractor, overclocked as far as you can to actually fill it with a tier 5 belt, which we don't have. We've only had, I think when we were making this, tier 4 belts. So I could upgrade that, but the extractor outside is not set up for that. So we've got 2 coming in. We've got the one that we looked at over by the train station being fed underneath and then feeding in here. So they actually come in quite nicely, and then they peel off into their various banks. They also go upstairs one, because these are actually double set up. So if I go and this is where it's a little bit harder to navigate now, I've started trying to do some of this. Right, that comes up there. There you go. You can see how basically the ground floor is replicated here. And then they all feed down. So these are the ones that aren't at full pelt, but when we get tier 3 miners, yes, they will be. Okay, so upstairs we've then got a set of constructors making iron plates and iron rods. Why are you not getting any? Why is this one not getting any? And it was all fed with basically an under system. Oh wow, that is... Yeah, this is running short. Okay, so you're running in there, you're running in there. Wow, that really is slowing down. Okay, fine. Yeah, so basically I've got these logistic floors, and this was the first factory I tried to use logistics floors with. But yeah, this is where we've had it set up. And yeah, these guys are not getting fed very much, are they? Because, like I said, this is set up for having a fully maximised tier 3 extractors, which we don't have. And we haven't got that. So I've got these machines set up, but they're not optimised for it. And they're optimised for full speed. On this floor... right, hang on. There, put my teeth back in. So this floor is making iron bars... iron plates and iron rods, and they then feed them over here into this glass elevator, and they actually feed them straight down, and then that is our own production, so that we've got plates and rods at hand. This floor is making more plates and more rods, so it's making a load of plates. In fact, I think this entire floor is just plates. Yep, this entire floor is just making iron plates and then sending them upstairs. So you can see on those two lines, they're all going up. Whoa. And then this is where our stairwell goes upstairs. There it is. And on this floor, what we're doing with those plates is we are bringing some steel beams. And this is what I was referencing earlier. We're turning those steel beams into screws. The screws are being joined with the plates here to make reinforced iron plates. And some of those are going straight back downstairs. Others are being fed over here into making modular frames. So that bank over there, I believe, is split. Half goes back to our base for storage. The other half comes over here so that we can make modular frames. And then that all gets fed down. So it all gets fed underneath, all gets put into the glass lift, which is here, so that when we are outside, we've got this kind of glass lift that we can see things constantly going up and down in. Which I just thought was a cool design element, to be able to do that and see things moving around. And yeah, that is our iron factory, and at the moment that is doing the majority of our iron work, and sending it backwards and forwards. And that was episode 72 to 77. After that, I had decided that we needed a more reliable source of plastic. I hadn't renamed this one, so I'm hoping this was the right one. Yes, we needed a more reliable source of plastic and rubber, because at this point we had the small amount of plastic we had the small amount of rubber coming from the original oil factory where I was playing with it, and we were producing our packaged fuel as well. So we had, that was all the rubber we were producing. That was also producing a tiny amount of plastic, because a fair chunk of that plastic was going into the packaging for the oil. And then we also had a little bit of plastic coming from our turbo fuel factory, where we were making the residual plastic. And I went, you know what? Going forwards, we're going to need a lot more plastic. We're going to need a lot more rubber. So I need to make a dedicated oil and... I need to make a dedicated plastic and rubber factory. So that's what I went and did. And I did this all the way, almost at the other end of the map. And so this is where we're going to take a little bit of a trip, and we're going to be riding our train lines. You can see how horrible this set of junctions is. Really busy. I need to find a better way of doing that. But people have suggested like bypasses and stuff, but I need to find space for said bypass. But again, this is where we're going to head towards the oil factory. Now, For those of you that are still with me, because I appreciate this has been a monumental episode, it's already been longer than I thought it was going to be, please do likes, comments, subscriptions on this particular episode, because YouTube does not like long form content. They want everyone to be doing shorts. So when I do long form content and then it winds up being content this long, it really needs some of that interaction to really help it go. So yeah, thank you very much to anyone that does that, but this episode's definitely going to need it. Right, so we're going to go past a couple of other factories that we're going to come back to. Pretty much, yeah, I think I'm going to do things a little bit out of order purely for time, because we don't want to wind up going from one end of the map to the other and then back again. So we're going to zip past two of our factories that we're going to come back and have a look at, and then there's one final factory to go to. So effectively we've got 4 locations left, and these are the two we'll come back to in a moment. So that one there and this one here we're about to drive under, and I'm really kind of pleased we're coming under this one at night. I like this one. I think this one looks quite cool, but we'll cover what this is when we come back. So the oil, I decided to make all the way out here because I knew there were 4 oil nodes that I could use, and I want to say 2 of them are pure, which gives us a lot more oil to play with. So yeah, we bounce over these sand dunes. Again, apologies if anyone starts feeling seasick. And you can just see it there through all that mist. That is our, yeah, plastic and rubber factory. That's now making the vast majority of our plastic and rubber. So when we come to a stop, and this is one that we need to finish as well during our birthday live stream. Top floor needs doing. Right, okay, take that down. So here we have our plastic and rubber being fed underneath. We've got these little boxes here, and these boxes are basically where the oil extractors are. So if I just go into one, you can see there it is. I've put a light in here, and then that's just extracting oil, and this is all fully overclocked as well. So this is as fast as it will get out. Yeah, 300 a minute. So yeah, that's spitting it out. And so we've got those two coming along here, which is making a full 600. And then we've got 2 more. So there's another node over there. You can see the box. And then we've got a box here actually attached to the facility itself. So you've got 600. You've got 600. And you've got 600. Okay, so the pure ones are outputting 600 and the impure ones are together putting out 600. Which is giving us 3 sets of 600. Okay, so this is going to be an interesting one to try and walk through, because this has no internal stairs or movement at all at the moment. But effectively what we've got is I've got 3 floors set up like this. So these are 50 fuel generators. So that's 3 floors of these, which means that's 150 fuel generators, which is why I thought the other one that had 40 odd was big. But no, I got 3 floors of this. So we've got to fly up the side of the building, because like I say, I haven't actually got anything set there. But there's floor 2, floor 3. Okay, so then let's follow the chain. So here we've got our oil coming in, and we bring it up here to the top floor, where we send it out in 3 banks. And the way we've got this set up is that it will basically feed in 3 of these banks, and these 3 banks are identical, where it's got plastic being made on one side and rubber being made on the other. So you can kind of see that's replicated, and they're all merged and fed onto these lines, and I get a ton of heavy oil residue as an output. So that then all basically is replicated across these 3 banks. So each individual oil pipe, yeah, feeds a set of these. I have awesome sinks dealing with any overflow. because, you know, it's producing more than that train can run at the moment, but that's fine because we're not using more than that train can bring through at the moment. Now if I come down the floor, and I'm just going to have to come in through the wall because, you know, I haven't actually sorted that out properly yet. Right, the heavy oil residue is then dropped down from above, and I've done this like that because this way I've only had to pump the oil to the top and the water up here, and I'll get to why there's water in a minute, because then everything else uses gravity to flow down. So there's no pumps on the heavy oil residue, that's all done via gravity. But what this then does is they all feed into these blenders here that are overclocked, because I wasn't producing aluminium at this point, and blenders need aluminium, so I overclocked them to reduce my aluminium needs. But yeah, they're all overclocked and they are producing a chunk of fuel, because the main point of this is to make the plastic and the rubber. The fuel is the byproduct. I don't really care about the fuel this time, but that fuel then comes into these 3 lines, and each one of those goes to a different one of those floors we were looking at earlier. So you can see, going up the sides, there's our oil going up, there's our water going up, with our heavy oil coming down, and then you can see the fuel staggers its way down onto each floor. And then we've got our water extractors there, but I mean, they are just set up in banks of 4 to basically fill each of these lines. I'm sure these are flowing at 600, yeah. So they are just set up like so. A couple of overclocks there because it technically needed more, but I didn't want to do that. So yeah, this is producing most of our rubber and plastic and a ton of power on the side. I could have done a compacted fuel, or brought the compacted coal over to make turbo fuel, but that wasn't the point of this, and then I'd have had to have put even more fuel refineries down, which at this point I was just like, no, that's so many. So that's producing, all those 2 facilities are producing all of our fuel at the moment. So now let's head to aluminium station. So after this we actually went and we did a much bigger copper factory that you saw when we were driving to the steel one. So I'm going to go back and we'll have a look at that in a bit. But while we're over here, we're going to sort of jump ahead a little bit, and we're going to have a look at the aluminium factory that I've built, because I've never played with aluminium before. That was all new for me. And then we'll have a look at where we are finishing at the moment and where I'm going to be picking up again at the next episode in episode 101. Ooh, blimey. Okay. So the aluminium factory is, again, new to me. Never played with aluminium before. And what we've actually got is we've got the bauxite extractors all the way up on those cliffs. So we've got that corkscrew there, bringing the train. We've got 2 trains running backwards and forwards to bring the bauxite to those stations there, and they're actually on a completely separate train loop. Oh, interesting. This was how you were going to navigate to it. I did think I hadn't actually done that. That makes sense. So you're just going to go straight through this station because you just needed a way to turn around, basically. That's fine. Yeah, so the bauxite trains are on a completely different train system. They're not connected to the main track at all. They were going to be at one point, and then I changed my mind about it and kept them on their own separate line. So that's just 2 trains running backwards and forwards, bringing 3 cars of bauxite. So apparently we're producing more than we're using at the moment because they are not empty. But if I come through here, this is the bridge that I've built to go over the train line, because I thought it would be cool to have a bridge that went over the train line and it's all lit up at night. So I've got floodlights outside and I've got the ceiling lights inside. I just think that's I really like how that looks. But what we are doing is, and I need to finish that railing, we are bringing the bauxite in here. So it comes in from those 3 cars, and it comes in here, goes in through those 3 bits at the top, feeds into these refineries. That's the word I was looking for. And I'm trying to remember why there was this setup. That was it. Because this middle one, there's a train dropping off, and someone's actually told me I should put buffers here so that it doesn't stop when the train's doing a drop off like that. The middle station is actually getting it from a slightly lower rated production of bauxite. So basically any overflow comes through here to balance that out. I did do all of the maths. I can't remember it off the top of my head, but the maths is done, and it was recorded, and it is in the episode for anyone that wants to go back and watch them. But effectively, yeah, we've got these 6 refineries. We are making use of the sloppy aluminium or aluminous solution recipe because I did not want to deal with all of the nonsense around going the backwards and forwards with the silica. I didn't. So we didn't do it. Why are you only at 68? I'm having real trouble balancing a lot of this. Okay. That sloppy aluminous solution goes through here. It joins in with a load of coal because I've got some coal carts, or basically trains literally going backwards and forwards from the original power station, because we're producing way more coal there than we can actually burn off with power, because like I said, run out of space to get water. So any extra coal we're just shipping around if we need it, and this is where it's coming in, and it's making the aluminium scrap and water. So yeah, that's doing that. And what I've got is the setup downstairs. So what it does is it takes the water that's wasted, or the wastewater from the ones that are making the scrap, feeds it back in here, which then feeds back into the system. But it seems to be struggling in getting enough. What are you at? 260. Let's just push you to... because it never goes at the rate you want with the valve, so let's push you to 280. See if that's just going to help a bit, and we'll do the same on the other side. There we go, 280. Just turn that up a little bit. Okay. And see what it does. Right. But what we've then got is they go upstairs, and this is where you can see this one needs finishing, to these banks of smelters, because again I'm using the alternate recipe for pure aluminium ingots, so we don't need to worry about bringing in silica, but these smelters just make the aluminium ingots, and these are not 100% either. Oh blimey, that's probably because downstairs isn't set up right. But the back 3 banks, so 1, 2, 3, they all go off in this direction, which feeds down here, where we're bringing in some copper bars as well. And this is where we are making all of our alclad aluminium sheets. So that's what these are up to. And they will then go shipping off. So you can see we're on kind of like a stepped level, because you can see some of the refineries there. The other 3, they are all feeding together around here, and they are going into these constructors to make aluminium casings, which again they go zipping off through this building, or this bit, and off out here. And again, if I come downstairs, all of that has, or both of those have smart splitters that feed to an awesome sink here should I need to burn stuff off, which I do actually, because the trains can't shift it all. But I mean, at the moment I haven't got a proper output for them. So, but this is where we're getting our aluminium from. And yeah, that's the aluminium setup, which is what to my mind, I think it's working quite nicely. That seems to have been picking up now. You've definitely got enough water now. So weird doing that loop. Yeah, I hope that doesn't get backed up. I'm worried it will. But yeah, so that's our aluminium setup, and that has been a challenge to balance all of that. Right, next we're going to go over here, and we're going to have a look at the project that we are currently working on, which it originally started as being like an advanced materials factory, where I'm going to be building materials that require more than, or basically the prerequisite items we've been working on before. So this is where we're going to be working on things such as computers, heavy modular frames, and what I've done is, the way I've got this set up is I can't expand further into that cliff face for additional train stations. So I've got to figure out a way to bring in additional train stations, because this set here is bringing in all the items we need to make computers. But I don't have space to do anything else. So what I might be doing, and was suggested to me, is basically going up. So I try and do a train spiral and I have a level above where I can bring in the additional resources. But like I say, this is what we're working with, or working on at the moment. I've got it set up so you can climb up the ladder from the output train station and you walk straight in here. And what we've got is, so far, all we are making are circuit boards, which I'm very sloppily just throwing into that awesome sink to make sure it all works and it doesn't slow down. But yeah, I've got 3 banks there. It's bringing the resources down from over there, and then the next bits we're going to be working on are taking these circuit boards and the other resources and starting to try and make computers in basically this floor space here. So you can see I've already got a little tunnel underneath, and I'm going to bring the circuit boards down and round. But yeah, that's the plan for the next bit. Not a lot to show there, but like I say, that's what we're currently working on. Now the final thing we're going to go and have a look at on this world tour is where... No, I don't want you facing that way. Where we're getting these copper bars from. Because we have a copper factory. So let's go to Amsterdam. And off we go. Because again, that's not been named yet. I think someone did suggest a name, but I don't think I've got round to actually updating it. So this is the other end of the map, so we're going to be a little while. Again, you can see some of these junctions are interesting. It's all been a learning experience for me. And I really appreciate everyone that's come on this journey with me and has been doing all the likes and all the comments and sort of throwing advice in. It has been really, really helpful, and I'm going to say kind of humbling in a way, because like I say, I never expected to get this level of support out of it. It's just properly sort of blown me away and surprised me. But yeah, I'm still enjoying doing this for you guys. I'm hoping you guys are still enjoying watching. And like I say, this has been quite the event, this world tour, because that's one of the other things as well. And I probably should have mentioned this earlier for any of the new people that have come in, and I'm sure I'll be mentioning it on the actual posts. Unlike a lot of the other YouTubers that do Satisfactory, I don't boop. Like, I don't do what Kibitz does, and Kibitz is insane, and I understand why he does it because his builds are huge. But I don't go, oh, and now we're going to boop it. Boop. When I'm building, you see it. Like, there are some bits I do off camera. Like, I will hold my hands up. I built that skyway off camera because I did not think people would want to sit and watch me laying concrete foundations for a couple of hours. And some of the infrastructure bits, once I've shown it once, I might do those bits off camera just to go, well, you've seen me lay track, I'm going to lay track off camera. Some of the builds, more recently, I have done a few time lapses, but again, you're seeing what I'm doing. I don't boop, which is interesting because it does mean that you guys get a completely unfiltered experience. It does mean you guys see everything, even the things that I might go, that might be a little bit boring. But the flip side of that is, I've had quite a few people commenting that it's actually really nice and refreshing to have a series to watch where it's not booped and they can sit and watch and see all of it. So I hope you guys are liking it, and this is part of the reason I'm chatting to you while we're on this little train ride and we're going to where we're going. But on that kind of note, if you guys think other people would like seeing this kind of unfiltered build, sort of playthrough and build, I mean, I put it in some of the Satisfactory Facebook groups, or I did put the earlier episodes, in episode 100 I'm going to comment, but if you guys know of places that you can share it, or people that you think would be interested, hey, I'm always happy to have more opinions and thoughts on it. More than happy. And I love talking to you guys. The comments are my favourite things about being a YouTuber. I really love looking at the comments from you guys and sort of discussing and talking things through with you all. And to be honest with you, I try and answer and reply to, or at least acknowledge, even if it's with the little heart thing that I can do as a creator. I will do that to every post that I see come through. The caveat on that is I say every post I see come through, because recently I've started having some that have been being caught by the automated filters, and so they go into a separate box that I don't notice, and I have to go in and actively check. And so if I forget to go in and check them, it may be that a couple of posts go in there that are held for review, but I don't get told they've been put up for me to review. So yeah, that's an interesting one. So basically I try and acknowledge every single one that I see. Right, okay, so this is the final stop that we're going to have a look at, and this is our copper factory, where we have basically taken some copper nodes. We just got to wait for that train to pull through so we can go down the spiral. We are taking some copper nodes, and we are again trying to do as much as we can with them. So you can see I'm getting slightly better at the train spirals with this one. It's not quite so going to make you seasick. This was actually the second one I built. So the first one I had access to the hover pack with to build. So what we are doing here, for pure entertainment, because I had no need to do this other than I wanted to, we've got some copper extractors out there, and I haven't belted it back. I'm using a truck, and I've got these truck stations here to run the copper back because I fancied it. Why has this truck stopped? Like, genuinely, why has this truck stopped? Oh, there we go. Okay. He decided to get stuck. Okay, that's fine. So, what we've got is we've got a lot of spaghetti underneath this factory. It's the only way I can describe it. But what we're doing is we are bringing in the copper and we are running it over here into this bank of refineries here, and we are making pure copper ingots. So we're taking the copper ore, adding water, and that's giving us a huge number of copper ingots to go through. Those copper ingots are then coming in here, and we're then steaming them to give us a huge number of copper sheets. So yeah, we get a lot of copper sheets out of this setup. Now what we are doing is we are bringing in some steel, not much, but this is where I'm talking about I make the screws on site. So I bring in steel beams. This is overclocked to give me 390 screws, which is exactly what I need. And yeah, it just makes these screws. Because this is where I'm making some rotors. So we've actually got another place where we're making proper rotors, and I'm using an alternate recipe here. And yeah, copper sheets, that just goes one-to-one straight into each of those constructors. We get all the screws, because I'm making more than enough copper sheets for these. I've then got my lifts here, where I've got things coming up and down. And upstairs, we are using some more, or no, not more. This time we are using an iron node. So these refineries are making pure iron ingots. And you're idle because you're full. Wow, that's all backed up. Okay. Okay, I'm going to need to sync some of this. So yeah, we've got all these. We've got this making a load of pure iron nodes. These constructors are all making wire. So we're using the iron wire recipe, so that's all being used here. And then that all feeds through on a logistics floor underneath. And what we're doing is we're also bringing in some rubber, because we're bringing in fuel for basically running the trucks. So we're bringing in some rubber as well, and then we use that copper wire, or not copper, the iron wire and the rubber with these constructors to make an obscene amount of cable. So much so, even if these were tier 5 belts, I'd still need 2 of them. So we have an obscene amount of cable. And yeah, that's all then just being fed back into a train station and run back into our Nexus. So here you can see all the underneath work. Like I say, it is a bit spaghetti, but it looks broadly quite tidy, I think, particularly at those ends. And you've got our water extractors to facilitate the... Oh wow, okay, so we have got a sink there. Right, well that needs to get faster. And look, that's only just spare ingots and spare... Wow, okay. Not even touching the cable and the wire yet. But yeah, just sinking spares to try and keep things on the move. But that is our big copper facility. So yeah, that's kind of the world tour. That's where we are at the moment. You've seen every major site that we've got going on. So if you're still with me, thank you very much on this at the moment. It's been a great journey. I really appreciate everyone that's come along on that. And I'm hoping for many, many more episodes. You never know. I've no idea if we'll get to episode 200, but I'm really enjoying it. I hope it's still going strong. But yeah, thank you all very much for joining me. As usual, and I've mentioned it at the beginning, likes, comments, subscriptions, they really help the channel grow and they help get it out in front of other people. Like I mentioned halfway through, or not even more than halfway through, with this episode where it is so long, it is going to need those likes and the comments and the subscriptions to really help it in the YouTube algorithm to really push it through. So do let me know what you think of the world building. Do let me know of any suggestions or thoughts that you've got going on with it, because I appreciate and read all of them. So thank you very much. Thank you very much to my patrons. It's very much appreciated, and remember, if you are a patron, you do get access to the save files, this one included, so that you are able to explore and have a look in your own time. So yeah, there is that. But other than that, thanks very much for joining me. I hope you all have a great day, and I will catch you all next time.